Well, hey there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Or if this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome to Larry's House of Hockey. Uh, it's my power rankings this time, and what is this? Week 22 of the rankings here. So there's only a few weeks. There's only a few weeks left, and yeah, so it should be interesting. And I know I've kind of been thinking of maybe next season doing them a little differently. I might get into that later on at a different time, but yeah. So here are the rankings, or at least my rankings for this week. So number 32. And these guys moved down one spot. They didn't win a game this week. Obviously, they've lost 3 in a row, and it's a spot. Unfortunately, they're kind of used to San Jose. So the Sharks, of course, they are. I mean, they're playing out the string basically. You know, they're trying to see if they can get the number one overall pick in the draft lottery, and you know, I mean, you know, it's just, you know, San Jose's San Jose. So we'll see what happens as they keep going. Number 31. Now these guys actually moved up a little bit last week, but they fell right back down. They fell right back down to earth. They did not win a game this week. They've lost 5 straight. Anaheim. So the Ducks are, you know, they had a little good, somewhat of a, you know, I mean, like I said, they moved up a little bit last week, and then they just fell right back down to earth. And just like San Jose, they're going to be trying to, you know, get the number 1 overall pick, and you know, 2 of the 3 California teams. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Number 30. Now, because Anaheim dropped a bit, these guys actually moved up a couple of spots, and they had a decent week. They actually won 2 of 3 this week. So, you know, I thought, you know, it's worth somewhat of a move up. Chicago. So the Hawks are still in the bottom 3, as is kind of, you know, expected. But you know, I mean, again, they're another one of those teams. These teams, a lot of these teams down here, they're going to be in the draft lottery, and they're going to see if they can somehow get the number 1 draft pick. And you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it's one of these 3 teams. And of course, everybody will just be so happy if it's Chicago again, right? Right? Who knows? Number 29. Now these guys drop a spot. They went 1-1-1 on the week, and you know, they did win their last game though. But you know, so I mean, but they still ended up dropping a spot, and that's Columbus. Columbus, of course, they're another one of those teams. They're going to be in the draft lottery. They're going to be trying to somehow get the number 1 pick, and you know, could they definitely use Celebrini? Oh yeah, they could. Absolutely, they could. Will they get him? Well, let's find out. Number 28. Now these guys move up 1 spot, so they kind of flip-flopped with Columbus. They went 2-2 on the week. They're 5-5 in the last 10, but they are on a 2-game winning streak, which is kind of why they flip-flopped. Arizona. Now the Coyotes are going to be a team. They also are going to be in that the draft lottery trying to see if they can somehow snag Celebrini. Will they get him? Yeah, who knows? The draft lottery will be very interesting to see, especially to see all the teams that are in there, see who moves up, see who moves down, who leapfrogs somebody. Could Arizona be one of those teams? Yeah, maybe. Number 27. Now, these guys, they moved up 3 spots, not necessarily because they did a whole lot to really deserve it, but just, you had Anaheim drop a bunch, so this kind of moved these guys up. Montreal. So the Habs are another one of those teams. They're going to be in that draft lottery area. And, could they benefit from getting Celebrini? Of course they could. And of course, the Canadiens, they're going through some stuff right now. Their head coach has taken an indefinite leave of absence for a family issue. There's kind of rumors going around as to what might be going on there. They're, not really confirmed or anything, but all we know is really it's family reasons. So, we'll see what Montreal does without their head coach for a bit. Number 26. Now these guys drop a spot, and these guys they're another one of these teams. I thought so much that they were going to be a lot better than they are, and they're just not. They went 1-2-1 on the week. They're 2-7-1 in the last 10. Pittsburgh. I don't know what's going on with the Penguins, but it's not improving. It's not improving. They're obviously a team that's not gonna make the playoffs. And I don't know. It's crazy, because I really did think that they were going to be better than they are, and they're not. And I don't know what Kyle Dubas does, especially in the off season, but they got to figure something out here. Number 25. These guys dropped 1 spot also, and this is another team I thought were going to be so much better, and they're just not. They went 1-2 on the week. They're 3-7 in the last 10. That's New Jersey. The Devils are a mess. They are just a mess, and I don't see a lot of. I don't know. I thought they would have been better too. I mean, I had them as not only a playoff team but a contender. I really thought they were going to make some noise here this year come playoff time, and yeah, it's not happening. It's not going to happen for New Jersey, and it's definitely disappointing. And when the season ends and I go back and I look at what my preseason predictions were for all the divisions, New Jersey's one team I think I was very, very wrong on. Number 24. Now these guys move up a couple of spots. They've actually played well. They've actually played really well lately. They went 3-0 this week. They've won 3 straight, even though they're 3-6-1 in the last 10. They won 3 in a row. Ottawa. So the Senators, they're out of the bottom row. They're out of the bottom row, so that's something. And again, I thought they were going to be a team that was going to be better. And they haven't been, but they have these little runs, where they win some, then they lose some, then they win some, then they lose some. Right now they're winning some, but they're still not really going to be, they're not a threat to make the playoffs or anything. But it's good to see that they're kind of trying to. They're still trying to kind of hang around. So, that's kind of good to see. And yeah, they actually moved up a couple spots because of it. Number 23. Now these guys, they dropped 3 spots. They've lost 2 straight. They went 0-2-1 on the week. So yeah, that definitely drops them a bit. Seattle. So the Kraken are they're not. Yeah, I don't see them making the playoffs either. And it's it's really seeming like last year they overachieved because they're not good. They're not really they're not that good this year. And it's definitely seeming like last year they were riding a high and they overachieved, and that this is the real Seattle Kraken. So it's kind of a look till next year with them. Number 22. Now these guys stayed in the same spot, and these guys they've played well. They've played much better, and they're actually in the hunt for a playoff spot. Now it's kind of taken a little bit of a hit recently, but they still stay in the same spot, and it's Buffalo. So the Sabres are, it's they're playing better too. They're actually a game above NHL 500. They have a record of 32, 31, and 5. So I mean, they're still a little bit out of they're 5 points out of the second wild card, but they're still not that far out. They're doing well, and do I think they'll make the playoffs? I don't think they'll get there. I don't think they're going to get there, but they're trying their damnedest, and I mean that's all you can really do, right? So yeah, they stay in the same spot. Number 21. These guys actually dropped 3 spots, even though they did win their last game. They had lost the previous 7. Detroit. Now the Red Wings right now are currently back in the number 2 wildcard spot. But it's not a comfortable lead. That's only 1 point. They have they're 1 point up on both Washington and the New York Islanders. Now, Washington has a game in hand on both Detroit and the Islanders. So, does that give Washington maybe a little bit of an inside track? Maybe, but again, you got to win that game in hand. And Detroit is, I mean, yeah, losing 7 in a row, that it definitely hurt. And of course, to get that first win out of 7 after losing 7 straight, they beat Buffalo. So yeah, of course, they kind of move ahead of Buffalo because of that. Number 20. Now these guys also dropped some, and they went 1-2-1 on this week. They were 6-3-1 in the last 10, but they did lose their last game in overtime, and it's the New York Islanders. Now the Islanders, even though they are a point behind Detroit, because of the fact that Detroit literally just came off 7 straight losses, that's why I still have the Islanders above Detroit by just a little bit. Just a little bit. And, again, can the Islanders catch Detroit to maybe get into that playoff spot? Maybe. No, I mean, like I said, you got the Islanders and the Capitals. They're both right there, only 1 point behind Detroit for that number 2 wildcard spot. So yeah, they end up at number 20. Number 19. These guys move up 4 spots. These guys have had a pretty good week. They've won 3 in a row. They won all 3 games this week. And that's St. Louis. So the Blues are a team that they are trying to, get into that back into that playoff hunt also. Because right now, they are 4 points behind the second wild card, which the number 2 wild card right now is Vegas. Wow, is that something to say? Vegas is the number 2 wild card right now. Wow, that to me is mind-boggling. But St. Louis is right there. They are right there, And they're looking good. They really are. They're looking good. They moved up 4 spots because of that. And yeah, they're playing really well. Number 18. Now these guys move up 3 spots, and they've done well too, even though they did lose in overtime to the St. Louis Blues. I've still got them ahead of St. Louis a little bit. Minnesota. So the Wild have kind of quietly gotten into that wild card race also. They are only 3 points behind Vegas. So, now St. Louis has 1 game in hand on Minnesota, and they're just 1 point behind Minnesota. And both of them are right there in that wild card race. And it could be, can one of those teams pass Vegas? Is it possible that one of these other teams knocks Vegas out of the playoffs? Who would have saw that coming if that happens? Oofta. Could it happen? Yeah, that's possible. Number 17. Now this team moves up 2 spots. They've played decent. They started the week kind of, they started the week kind of dropping, but then they kind of evened out a little bit. And they've won 2 in a row. They went 2-2 on the week. Washington. The Capitals. Now they're another one of those teams. They're right there in that wild card race. They are 1 point behind the Detroit Red Wings for that wild card spot. Could the Capitals overtake Detroit? It's possible. It's entirely possible. And the wild card races, these are some barn burners so far. They're looking very interesting. And Washington's just kind of hanging there. Number 16. Now these guys, they stay in the same spot, but they're not careful. They potentially are going to drop out of this top 16. And it's entirely possible, if they are not careful, they might drop out of the playoffs completely. That's the defending champions. So Vegas, the defending Stanley Cup champions, are perilously close to dropping out of a playoff spot. Will they drop out of a playoff spot? I don't know. I can't imagine that they will. I really can't. But when you have Minnesota only 3 points behind them, St. Louis is only 4 points behind them. It's that close. It is that close. And I can't imagine Vegas missing the playoffs. I really can't. Is it possible they do? Of course it is. Will it happen? Again, I can't see it happening, but who knows? Is it possible? Of course it is. Number 15. This team also stays in the same spot. They went 2-2 on the week. They did lose their last game, but they lost their last game to a team who is up here. And that's LA. Now, the LA Kings, they are currently sitting 3rd in the Pacific Division. Now, it's interesting. Vegas is currently the number 2 wild card, but they're only 2 points behind LA for 3rd in the division. So, could Vegas move up into that 3rd place spot and knock LA down? Yeah, that's possible too. Again, will it happen? Well, we got a few weeks left to find out. Number 14. These guys drop 1 spot. They haven't had a great week. They went 1-2 on the week. They've lost 2 in a row, which is why they dropped 1, and that's Philadelphia. Now, the Flyers are a team, they're still currently in a playoff spot. They are still third in the Metro Division. They have 76 points, which is still good enough for third in the Metro. And if I look at the full division here, going back and looking at the full division here in the Metro Division, yeah, Washington and the New York Islanders are only 3 points behind Philadelphia for third. So is it entirely possible that Philadelphia does drop out of that playoff spot? Possible, because again, they're only 3 points up on both Washington and the New York Islanders. So it is possible that they drop out of that spot. I kind of hope they don't, because I really would like to see Philadelphia in the playoffs and see what they could do. But you know, we'll have to wait and see. Number 13. Now this team drops one spot also. Even I mean, they haven't been horrible. I mean, again, they started the week losing 2 in a row, but then they ended up winning 2 in a row. So they went 2-2 on the week, and they dropped, but not as much as they could have. Calgary. So the Flames are still in the top 16, even though they currently are not in a playoff spot, but they are. Let's go back to the wild card here, because they are 6 points behind Vegas in the standings, and they are 6 points out of that playoff spot. So, you know, can Calgary catch them? I don't know. I don't know if Calgary can catch them, but you know, Calgary's got to be careful, because, you know, I mean, it's entirely possible that they drop out of this top 16, where then one of these teams down here could move up here. But, you know, Calgary right now sitting at 13, we'll have to see what more they can do, and if they can just kind of hang around. But I mean, they've gotten up here because they had a couple of really good weeks, which bumped them up here. So they're trying to maintain that. Number 12. Now these guys went up a couple of spots, and they're looking tough again. They went 2-0 on the week. They've won 3 straight. Watch out. Here come Tampa. Here comes the Tampa Bay Lightning. Is it, you know, are they a team that could really threaten come playoff time? Can they really be a threat? They definitely can. They're currently the number 1 wild card. They are the number 1 wild card. And right now, if the playoffs started right now, as the number 1 wild card, they would face the New York Rangers in the first round. That would be an interesting matchup. That would be a very interesting matchup. It'd be Andrei Vasilevsky versus Igor Shesterkin. That could be fun. But, you know, Tampa's, you know, I mean, is Tampa in danger of dropping out of a playoff spot? It's possible. But, you know, I mean, I think they could drop out of a playoff spot more than they could go up and overtake third place in the division, which is currently held by Toronto. But you never know. I mean, if Tampa makes the playoffs, they could be very, very dangerous. Number 11. Now these guys dropped 1 spot, even though they went 2-1 on the week. They've won 2 in a row, but there were a couple of teams that moved up that, you know, is kind of why they got knocked down a little bit. Boston. So the Bruins, they have one of the best records in the league right now. They currently have a 1-point lead in the Atlantic Division. It's interesting. They played 69 games. They've won 40 games. But the reason why they are where they are, they have 15 overtime or shootout loss points. 15! 40 wins, 14 regulation losses, 15 overtime or shootout losses. That's why they're where they are. They got an extra 15 points there because of that. Now, if they turn those into wins, they're head and shoulders in first place by a lot. But 15 overtime or shootout loss points, it's gotten them to where they are. So, we'll have to see what that does. But yeah, right now they're sitting at number 11. Number 10. Now, I flip-flopped these teams. I flip-flopped them mainly because, Boston went 2-1 on the week. They've won 2 in a row. But this team has also won 2 in a row. And they went 2-0-1 on the week. They didn't lose a game in regulation. They're also 8-0-2 in their last 10. Nashville. So, Nashville, if you're a team in first place right now in the division, are you really wanting to play the Nashville Predators in the first round? With the way they're playing, I wouldn't. And right now, if they played, they're the number one wild card. If the playoffs started right now, they would be playing the Colorado Avalanche. If you're Colorado, would you want to see Nashville right now? I don't think so. Nashville's on a good little run right now. And, they're in the top 10. So, can they move up more? We'll have to see. Number 9. Now, these guys dropped 2 spots. They're in a dogfight to see who can end up winning the division. And right now, they are 3rd in the division. And they dropped a couple of spots. They went 2-1 on the week, but they're only 6-4 in their last 10. Winnipeg. The Jets are a team, they had flirted with having the best record in the NHL for a little bit. And that's kind of dropped a little bit. They're still having a great season. They've still won 42 of 66 games. That's a great season. I don't think, though, if they either play Colorado or Dallas, they're not favored. They will not be a favorite to me. They won't be favored to beat either one of them. But, is Winnipeg still a dangerous team? Oh, yeah. And, they're still in the top 10. They just dropped out of the top row. Number 8. Now, this team moved down 3 spots. They've kind of struggled recently. They didn't win a game this week. They went 0-1-1. They've lost, obviously, 2 in a row. They're only 5-3-2 in the last 10. Vancouver. So the Canucks, they stay in the top row, barely, just barely, and they've got a relatively decent lead in the division. They're 8 points up on Edmonton. However, Edmonton's got 3 games in hand on them. So, is it possible Edmonton can catch Vancouver and knock them out of first place? It's possible. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. Number 7. Now, these guys move up 1 spot. They went 3-1 on the week. They've won 2 in a row, 7-2-1 in the last 10. And they are also trying to challenge for first in their division also. Carolina. So the Hurricanes are, they're looking decent. They've looked decent, but it's kind of a long shot to catch the Rangers for first in the Metro, but they're not out of it, and are they pretty solidly in a playoff spot right now? Oh yeah, they definitely will make the playoffs, I think, but what will they do come playoff time? We'll have to see. Number 6. These guys stay in the same spot. They went 2-0-1 on the week. They're 7-1-2 in the last 10. They did lose the last game in overtime, and that's why they stay in the same spot, Edmonton. So the Oilers are a team, like I said, they're 8 points behind Vancouver for first place. But again, they have three games in hand. Again, you have to win those games in hand. Could Edmonton catch them? I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see if the Oilers can catch Vancouver. But considering where they started, it's pretty neat to see where they've come from where they began. Number 5. Now these guys moved up 4 spots. These guys have been on a heater. They went 3-0 on the week, 8-2 in the last 10, winners of 6 straight. Colorado. The Colorado Avalanche are looking dangerous. They are looking like that team that could win the whole thing again. They are just on an incredible roll right now. And they're tied with Dallas for first in the Central Division. They do have the lead. They are in first place mainly by points percentage because, they have a 669 points percentage. Dallas has a 659, but they both have 91 points. And Colorado's looking really, really good. And we'll have to see where can they hang on to first place. I don't know. They got Dallas. It's right there on them. So them or Dallas, I think, is going to win that division. Number 4, staying in the same spot. They went 1-0-1 on the week. They did lose their last game in a shootout when they probably should have won that game. And honestly, if they would have won their last game against Carolina, I would have had these teams flip-flopped. But I have them in the same spot, mainly because of that. Toronto. So the Toronto Maple Leafs are a team that, honestly, I think they should have beaten Carolina. They were up by 2 goals with, I think, under 2 minutes to go, and they blew it. They blew it, and they lost in a shootout. Now, again, if they win that game, I would have moved them up one more spot. I would have flip-flopped number 4 and number 3. But they didn't. And the team that's in number 3, they did win their last game, which is why they stay where they are. And this team, number 3, even though they went 1-2 on the week, but again, they won their last game, Dallas. So Dallas they're right there in the race with Colorado for first. And they're it's going to be interesting to see if Winnipeg can somehow overtake Colorado and Dallas and force Colorado and Dallas to play each other in the first round. Colorado, Dallas in the first round. Yes, please. Yes, please. I would love to see that matchup. That would be a fantastic matchup in the first round. That only happens, though, if Winnipeg can find a way to get above them. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. But like I said, if Toronto doesn't blow that lead against Carolina, Dallas and Toronto would have flip-flopped. Number 2. Now these guys dropped one spot. They haven't done. They've been kind of, they only went 1-2 on the week. They have lost their last 2 in a row. Now, granted, the most recent team they lost to is on a 3-game winning streak, so that's why they didn't really drop much more. Florida. So the Panthers, they dropped from the number 1 spot down to number 2, and they haven't looked great the last couple of games. I mean, you lose 2 in a row, you're not looking that great, but are they still a dangerous team? Very. Even though they are technically only they're 1 point behind Boston for first, even though they have a game in hand on Boston, and they've won 5 more games than Boston has. But Boston hasn't by a point. And one reason why? Boston, 15 overtime or shootout losses. Florida only has 4. So, that's one of the main reasons why that is the way that is. And, can Florida overtake Boston? Of course they could. It's a very tight race. And number 1, these guys move up 1 spot. They've looked really good. They went 3-1 on the week, 6-3-1 in the last 10, and yeah, they are looking fantastic. They have one of the best records in the entire league, and I think they're a deserved number 1 this week. The New York Rangers. Now, they've been number 1 before, and they are number 1 again. And they're looking incredible. They really are. They're looking incredible. And are the New York Rangers going to be a team that anybody's going to want to see come playoff time? Not really. Igor is playing well. Jonathan Quick, as a backup, is looking like the Jonathan Quick from 2012. He's looking really good. He did sign an extension to stay with the New York Rangers, and I mean, why not? Why not be on a team that you might have a chance to win another Stanley Cup with? The Rangers are looking great right now, and this week, even though this might be, as Stephen A. Smith would say, even though this might be fluid, the New York Rangers are the number 1 team this week, and let me know what you guys think. Who do you think who do you think is too high? Who do you think is too low? Who do you think I'm absolutely crazy about that that I've dropped or maybe kept in the same spot or raised, lowered? How many of you think I'm completely crazy and belong wrapped in a straitjacket in a rubber room for how I've got some of these teams? Let me know in the comments section. Please like this video. Please also subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I would love you guys forever. And yeah, so this was the 22nd week of the power rankings, and there's only a few weeks left. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think of who I have where. And again, hit like and subscribe. And yeah, I will see you guys later.